He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
And we are back, and Jan is still away in Europe. I mean, she's probably like in, I don't know, she was, you have a relationship to Malta, right?
I do, actually. Yeah, I'm half Maltese. What the fuck?
No, Jan, who's away, is spending 12 hours in Malta.
Is a layover?
It's a layover, yeah.
Okay, Jan, you're probably not going to watch this in time, but go into Valletta. Go get some pastizzi. Yeah. Go get some assatar. Go to Orme and get a loaf of bread. That's all I got to say. Best bread in the world. Yeah.
They have good bread, right?
Orme at one time is a town where my mother was born. It was known across Malta, but in the Mediterranean for their bread. They had multiple bakeries. Anyway, weird way to start this podcast, but who gives a shit? We're off and rocking.
You know, the truth is that there's something about the world's greatest bread that's just transforming, right? I mean, like,
yeah, you have a good loaf of bread.
Homemade.
You're cutting into it with butter. You just shoot off, as Don Rickles would say, you shoot off a rocket.
Yeah. Shoot off a rocket.
Yeah.
And it's the crust is so crusty and it's flying everywhere. And it's like the taste is so good. Oh my God.
It's like a bachelor party in Miami.
Exactly. It's not quite the same. Folks, it's not quite the same.
It's not the same.
But because we don't want to confuse people who might have a piece of bread that they're about to put in their mouth. And
that's right.
What Miami?
What am I eating?
What the fuck? But it's similar. There's some relationships there. Okay. But she's only 12 hours. So the joke I made about Malta, and don't take this the wrong way.
I'll try not to.
The joke I made about Malta is that it's a very close community because most people's moms is also their sister.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to pretend like you didn't say that.
All right. Okay. But you actually know. It's the first cousin.
Not true, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the first cousin marriage capital of the world.
Ron Butler's right about a lot of stuff, but not about Malta.
I've even had Portuguese people tell me, yeah, you're right, first cousins.
Not about Maltese people.
All right, they're all
not
nobody's
happening.
inbred.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
My eyes are perfectly centered.
Well, because your dad was from somewhere else entirely.
He was.
You broke the genetic curse of only first cousin marriage.
For all the Maltese people watching this,
300 years of
I got your back.
Yeah. Well, thank God for the number of Maltese people who are listening to this, I can afford to lose their clients.
Yeah, okay.
Them as clients.
Okay.
I'm okay, but yeah. Folks, they're inbred. Anyway, but you're clean because you got a whole new genetic thing going.
That's
with,
right.
Totally different.
That's right. I do.
Yeah. All right. No more bread. We got to think about the Bank of Canada. Last week.
It's good to be back, by the way.
Oh, good to have you back. Well,
I
guess you better introduce Rob. Like, I've known Rob for so long.
We just got right into
one of the
it.
Guys, okay? Like, Rob Campbell.
That's great to be back.
Mortgage broker at Guelph, Ontario. He does a lot of industry stuff, right?
I do a lot of.
You're back every 2 weeks with the 8-foot-tall alien in Vancouver.
Wow. I am a bi-weekly guest on a podcast, Dustin Woodhouse. Shout out, Dustin.
Now, if I'm right, and you spent more time with him than I have, for quite a bit,
a lot more time.
Now, sometime around midnight, does he have to unzip the back of his head so he can let his lizard self out, or
not at all?
Do you remember that show V back in the day? No, you're not old enough.
I'm super young.
But that's what the lizard people used to unzip the back of their heads, take the human mask off. And
no, I feel like you said lizard people, and now the algorithm on YouTube is going to show your podcast to lots of people south of the border with the whole
whatever. But Joe Biden so Dustin has never revealed his true alien self.
Dustin, I can honestly say, very good reputation. Very good reputation. Good guy. But Thank you for listen. I want to say thank you for having me on. It's the third time.
It is third.
It's bizarre you've asked me to come back.
There's no merch at all for
no,
third. Okay,
no,
nothing.
there isn't. It's bizarre that you asked me to come back,
yeah.
but I'm very appreciative of being here. Thank you.
Well,
very
we'd
much.
love to have you. You're a great guest, and you're a good mortgage broker. Literally a very good mortgage broker, because we try to vet mortgage brokers we have on the program and for honesty, integrity, and knowledge. And Rob wins on all of them. Set aside his relationship with aliens. From
the
people
whole
from
Maltese
from another planet.
Yep. Thank you very much.
But
thank you for the kind words.
exactly. So last week, before I was reminded to identify Rob, which is probably a pretty good idea. Last week we had the Bank of Canada announcement, big announcement at half.
Oh baby.
So maybe the most important thing I should say, as we've gone through a weekend since the announcement, is that the thoughts about another 50 beeps are growing.
They are.
In the banking community, like growing. I mean, I was reticent. I mean, I always knew another 50 was a possibility because, folks, I believe it's December 11th, if we go on December 11th, another 50 beeps, that's essentially 1% in 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Now, if I thought that 50 beeps was an emergency cut, 50 beeps, and then followed by 50 beeps, 1% in 6 weeks is look at Tiff. He's got to go and change his pants. Like he has literally crapped himself out of terror for the economy. But that's what's hitting the street now.
That is the rumor out on the street. It's bizarre for me even kind of say like we kind of knew. Like how bizarre is it to you in all of your years in this industry to kind of know that they were going to drop 50? Like it was almost, I don't want to say obvious because the Twitter, I could just hear the Twitter trolls now.
We got to call it X maybe out of respect for Elon.
Dead naming Twitter.
I know. We can't dead name Twitter.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I'm an OG with Twitter, so I'll just call it Twitter. But
I'm the OG.
You're the
I'm
OG.
the OG.
Like we were all kind of expecting 50, which is bizarre to even say out loud. But now another 50 in December. It's bonkers.
I'm not in that camp yet.
I don't think I am either.
I'm in the 25 bips camp.
Yeah, me too.
There's more bankers and bank economists are starting to say, let's just go 50. Now, look, if we're honest, there's a certain logic to it. Mm-hmm. So if in fact the economy, the Bank of Canada, through their 1,000 employees and their statisticians and their infinite integration with major employers and the commercial banks of this country, if they are seeing hellish headwinds in the economy through their early warning systems, it just makes sense, right? I mean, like, why wait? If we're going to get down to, if we're going to go below 3%,
which we have to.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yesterday have to, but anyway, that's a whole different topic.
But if we're going to get it, no, it's actually the same topic.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if there's a consensus of belief in the Bank of Canada, they need to get to a neutral rate. In central bank speak, you call it either a neutral rate or a terminal rate. Okay. Where is the rate that the governor or the Fed chairman or the, what do they call that guy in the States? Like you're the chancellor of the exchequer or something? No, that's the finance minister.
Okay.
You are, I don't know what they call the governor of the bank over there. Maybe it is the governor of the Bank of England. But there is a moment where a central bank governor puts up their hands and says, well, we've been cutting now. We're finished. We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
Yep.
Now. Okay.
Yep.
Just like there was that one meeting where Tiff said, we're not hiking anymore.
Right.
Like we're going to just watch.
Right.
Okay.
We're going to watch the numbers.
It's like, well, just watch. I think Tiff likes to watch.
Oh, wait. Do it. I got nothing.
Well, that's why, I'm going to do another old man thing, which is Peter Sellers' last role, which is a movie called Being There.
Okay.
Where Peter Sellers played Chauncey Gardner.
Okay.
And so a bunch of young people saying, Peter, who the fuck? What are you talking
Was
about?
Peter the Party?
The Pink Panther, the party,
yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Inspector Clouseau.
Those movies would not make the airwaves these days.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but anyway,
they're
as
so
you were.
canceled. He's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
canceled.
yeah.
Everything about Peter was Sellers would have been canceled.
Yeah.
But he played Chauncey Gardner, who was, again, cancellation. Peter Sellers played a mentally challenged
Oh my God.
person
Okay.
who stumbled into a rich man's home as a small child, just came off the streets looking for food, and the rich man took him in and turned him into the gardener.
Okay.
So this rich man who died subsequently, but he called him Chance. He said, well, I'm going to take a chance on you. You're Chance.
Okay.
And then when the rich man died and the lawyers came to sell the house, they threw
The gardener
out. And so when he met someone in the street, they'd say, who are you? And he'd say, Chance, the gardener. And they started calling him Chauncey Gardner. Okay. And then he somehow stumbled into this situation where he met the most powerful financial baron in the United States, who he met him and
befriended him.
And the guy said, the beauty of that story is the Peter Sellers character is just rambling bullshit, but somehow the finance guy reads some particular kind of brilliance into it and then calls his buddy, the president of the United States, in to meet Chance the gardener, who is a mentally challenged man. And pretty soon, Peter Sellers was on the way to the presidency. Anyway, it was a great, fantastic. If you could ever,
how does this coincide?
Because if you could ever see that movie, everybody should watch that movie. Look it up. Put it up on your Google it right now. Find it. Watch it. Fabulous movie. Anyway, what's it got to do with is
Tiff.
His favorite thing to do. The best scene was when the famous actress. I won't demean her by pointing this scene out. A famous actress was playing the wife of this elderly financier, and she was became quite affectionate with Chance the Gardener.
Right.
And Chance the Gardener, just all the thing he'd like to do more than gardening was watch TV.
Okay.
So when in this huge mansion, this famous actress, Shirley MacLaine, she was famous and gorgeous and everything else long ago. And she started coming on to Peter Sellers, Chauncey the Gardener. Chauncey Gardner. And as she's sort of starting to paw him over, she's a little confused because he's not reacting. And so she says, "What's the matter?" And there's a television across the room, and he says to her, "I like to watch."
This is where it comes back.
It's a long, meandering.
This is almost like a Norm Macdonald
3.5 minute Norm Macdonald story
to get to the punchline.
I like to watch, and even though this is Angry Mortgage, and we say the craziest things, Shirley MacLaine started to get herself off, and Peter Sellers just watched. Okay, so that's where all this thing about Tiff just watching
the numbers,
just devolved into this obscenity-laced old man story, okay, of evil doings and completely, probably totally not woke, okay. But let's get back to Let's get back to the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada drops 50 basis points. They're obviously going to drop another 25 December 11th, or 50. And then keep dropping into next year. So you work with mortgage clients every day. We both work with mortgage clients every day. What is there suddenly wind in the sails of the real estate business?
So
or what
it's funny before the rate decrease,
because we had 3 rate decreases in a row.
Now I'll say this: the 3 before didn't really move the needle, even psychologically. I think this one.
Same observation, my side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This one is different. I feel like this one's different. And again, I can hear the rumblings online. Like, oh, the real estate bull, No, but psychologically, I think a lot of people have been on the sidelines, particularly the purchase market.
Particularly.
They're just on the sidelines. They're just waiting. This one last week, I think has clearly signaled, oh, we're kind of getting back. And I think people are now catching up to the fact that there's probably not going to be a real estate price boom. However, the inventory that we see on the market might start to get purchased and might start to get bought up. So I'm seeing in Guelph, Ontario, shout out Guelph, I am seeing the psychology change a little with this 50 bips decrease.
Okay, that's certainly a bit of our observation. I mean, in Toronto, there's sort of the cloud of the dog crate condo disaster in downtown Toronto hangs over everything, which is not related to rates. It's related to mispricing, right? I mean, so we got that issue. But yes, we see an uptick in interest. However, there's something interesting that we get when we get borrower inquiries for people interested in a mortgage. We get the same question every time. When do you think they'll be done? When do you think the bank will be finished? When will the rates hit bottom? And that's interesting, right? Because that's one of the things about a cycle of cutting rates is there's a percentage of people do jump in, but there is definitely a group of people who say, fuck this.
We're just going to wait.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
We're going to wait to rock bottom.
Yep.
If the bottom is Bank of Canada at 2.5, Bank of Canada at 2.25, Bank of Canada. I've thrown the 3% bullshit out the window.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, yeah.
It's long gone.
I just thrown it out. I mean, by the way, if there's a 50 bips cut in December, I'm like digging a hole in the ground and burying it in my backyard. I mean, like that's the dumbest thing ever. It will be way past 3%. If they're going to go 1% in 6 weeks, it's going to be a lot more.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot lower than 3%.
By the way, to pause you, not to interrupt, but I saw something online about the last 3 times a 50 basis point cut was done with the Bank of Canada was 9/11.
Whoa.
Was financial crisis, 08-09.
Yep.
And pandemic. March of 2020.
Whoa.
Because March of 2020 was 50-50-25 in 1 month, right?
50-50-25. So 2 50s in a row is like COVID times. Okay. It's
right.
like desperation.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So hasn't happened yet, folks. Relax. I'm not endorsing it. We're both a little more in the 25 camp. Both of us are in the 25 camp. But I think we're also both in the not stopping at 3% camp. Because I don't believe that.
No, I don't believe that
we'll
either.
see 2.5. So, or less, but let's take 2.5. So 2.5 is a variable rate anywhere from high ratio at about 3.45, right?
Yep.
Like, because you'll get some big discounts eventually. Okay.
Yep.
Once it's settled in and it's dropped and everybody's put up their hand and said it's over. Because you might remember way back in the day, we sometimes got 1.6 off prime. That happened on high ratio.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Really?
Yeah, that happened on high ratio.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were
in the business. That was like 2015. 2012, 2000.
That much of a discount. That's so big. That's so crazy.
It was high ratio only.
Yeah.
High ratio only.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see a 1.35 off prime for high ratio. So if we're at, so that's like we add 85 bips onto the Bank of Canada rate. So that's 3.35.
Yeah.
If we're at 2.5,
by the way,
we're at 3.35.
Much less than a 3-year fix going right now.
Oh hell yes!
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And to that, but conventional at like 3.7, right?
Right.
3.65, 3.75, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And wowzers! I mean, that's like a rate compared with people. We look back 15, 16 months ago. People are dying at 6%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And by the way, I think Rob and I are in the same place here. For people who felt they were stuck with variable and couldn't get out of it, and it went through this incredible disaster of going from 1.45 to like a lot more to 7, I guess at one point.
6.5, yeah.
No, sorry, you're right, 6.5. To go from 1.45 to 6.5.
That's fucking crazy.
For those people, and to your point, you just said it earlier. There's a whole flock of people out in the world that says, "No, let the interest rates go to 10 and let people lose their homes. I buy it for cheap. I want to buy it for cheap."
Yep.
And yes, young people are frustrated. Yes, that is. I've only been saying that for 9 years. Okay, on social media. So, batshit crazy house prices are no good for young Canadians. That's sort of my mantra. But at the end of the day, if you got 1 million people, 1 million families in Canada, 1 million households with variable rate mortgages, come on, like these people need a fucking break.
Young people especially, I think we're probably going to...
What? Hold on. Something happened? There's a beer!
In celebration of my third time here, the first time here, if you want to go back and watch it, I did bring beer.
Folks, you got to bring your own merch here.
Yeah, so because as we're on the topic of first-time buyers, because CMHC increased, well, the finance minister really increased the first-time buyer to 1.5 million. This is now the Ron Butler, the Angry Mortgage $1 million starter brew.
$1 million starter home. Yeah, that's it. $1 million starter.
We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna. I'm sure. Sorry about that. I'm sure we're gonna talk about CMHC and the $1 million 1.5. But yeah, young Canadians. Oh man, 4 times income, 4.5 if you're conventional, and really lucky with exceptions. Who's making $250,000, $300,000 a year as a first time buyer?
Well, let's all consider what we've talked about on the show before. If you actually could make use of, looks like good beer. If you could actually make use of
delicious
the whole $1.5 million purchase price, if you could qualify, you would need to have an income of $352,000 to family income to qualify for that $1.5 million purchase price. You'd need 10% down, which is $150,000, which doesn't grow on trees, and you would need to have that kind of income. So to qualify for this new maximum that will roll out on December 15th, and just folks, this is important, just so that there isn't like 100 comments. If you want to take advantage of that program, and very few people can, very few people have the financial ability to do so, you still have to be a first-time buyer, and every single date on every document has to be after December 15th.
Yes.
I got so many questions about, let me go buy today and then I got to have it closed on December 16th. No. Okay, well, let me just, I'll get it done now and then we'll redate some amendment. And no. It's got to be, every single date has got to be 15th.
Let's be honest. High ratio CMHC insured file for a first-time buyer. If the rule starts December 15th, you've got Christmas, lawyers are going on holidays, you've got New Year's. At best case scenario, you're closing at the mid to end January.
Yeah, we don't expect to see anything, any purchase for CMHC over $1 million until January. I mean, that's just realistic because every date has to be after the 15th.
They're not going to look at it. Lenders aren't going to touch it.
Exactly right. It's a very good logo you
got. But thank you. Shout out Reeve and Company in Waterloo, Ontario for helping me with the branding.
Beautiful.
$1 million starter. Because we have to get drunk on the concept of first time buyers.
In Canada, the starter home is $1.5 million, folks. Hey, you know what it is in the States? What the limit is in the States?
What is it, Ron?
$766,000.
The limit.
The highest level of a starter home in a government-sponsored program, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac in the US.
Land of the free capitalism extraordinaire.
And by the way, if you are a veteran, you can go 3% down.
That's right.
Or less.
Yeah.
Okay?
VHA.
But the number maximum is 766. And people, we got Manhattan, we got LA, we got San Francisco, we got Miami all in the mix. Okay, there's some expensive fucking cities there. 766. That's it. Indexed to inflation. It just goes up a little bit every year.
There's a novel concept. I mean, not to dwell on this because I know we're going to talk about other things, but what a novel concept. One thing that Dustin had mentioned, which you might hate, but
you mean the alien from Vancouver?
No, I mean Dustin. Sorry. Dustin.
All right.
The concept of why are we? Come on, what the fuck are we doing with giving one number for the whole fucking country? Why aren't we regionality, provincially, postal code? Yeah, maybe a $1.5 million home in Toronto is not crazy. Maybe that's not crazy. Okay. Maybe in Owen Sound, that's a little crazy. Maybe in Medicine Hat, that's a little crazy. Why aren't
you ever been to Medicine Hat?
Never.
I've been to Medicine Hat. Pretty crazy.
How do you even wear a medicine hat?
Pretty crazy. Sorry?
How do you even wear a medicine hat?
No, there is no medicine hat. That's a relationship to our indigenous peoples. Okay.
That was a bad joke that went sideways.
No, but
don't
I put you sideways.
Okay.
Yeah, I put you sideways.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, the reality is that
my apologies.
I know where my indigenous people's names come from. Okay. Just like Moose Jaw and a few of the others. Okay. So, by the way, in the prairies, they definitely were here. Everywhere in Canada, they were here first, right?
Yeah,
they were here first.
Yeah,
so they get to call some names.
Oh yeah.
That's what Mississauga is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Mississauga. What do we got? Of course, we fucked up Canada, right? You know the Canada story, right?
Why don't you give
The
us
Canada story is when it was either Cartier or Champlain were asking, where are we?
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah. I do know this story.
And the guy pointed at the village
and said, Kanata. Yeah.
And that's the village.
Yeah.
Okay, but we ended up as a country.
Yeah. I do know that.
Like there's lots of situations like that.
Just for the record.
There's Buffalo Jump, right?
I do.
Yep. They're all good places. But Medicine Hat's, Medicine Hat is right next to the Hoodoos. So the Hoodoos is this weird geological location where you find dinosaur bones. So Medicine Hat's actually famous. It was the original place in Canada where they found the most fossils anywhere else in Canada. Now, they've since moved on to the Rocky Mountain shales, which is an incredible source of finds.
Yep.
But anyway, that's the boring Butler encyclopedia story for today. All right, back to mortgages. So we're going to have a combination in the new year. We haven't even talked about the batshit crazy refinance program.
So I love this program.
Which one?
The refinance program.
You love it? Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah? Okay.
I love it.
What are you going to do with
I don't love the 2 million cap because that, again, is fucking crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
Crazy. But I've been saying for a couple years now, why, if CMHC is going to allow somebody to go minimum down payment on a $1.5 million home, why can't a family borrow against the equity of their home and utilize a program to be able to put in a basement apartment?
Yeah.
I'm not talking fourplex. I'm not talking crazy town. I'm not. I'm literally talking, we have a bungalow. We have a shitty cinder block foundation. The basement's a fucking dungeon. My mom and dad are 80. They don't need a 3-story home anymore. I don't want to put them in a fucking box with locks on the door and they get a shitty tuna sandwich every day. I love this idea for that. I love the idea for...
Were you sort of encouraging elder abuse there? It's not as bad as Medicine Hat, maybe. But...
No, wow.
Okay.
No. No. I'm saying what a great program, because we know that generally speaking, even purchase plus improvements... Folks, if you don't know what purchase plus improvements is, I'm going to put it in a nutshell. You're not going to fucking qualify for it.
Oh, more to the point, you're not going to want it once you find out what it is.
Yeah, okay? You're not going to want it. And even if you do think you want it, you're not going to fucking qualify for it because there's a cap on what you can do.
Well, let's break it down for a second, though, this new program, because we know very little about the new program, right?
We do know very little,
We know effectively nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. So we don't know whether the CMHC is going to help you with running construction loans. We don't know that. We don't know if CMHC is going to say, well, you do the loan, and then we're going to refinance you up to the maximum, or we're going to appraise, and we're going to decide. Oh, and we're also going to have this, and this condition that you've got to, we got to prove where you started. We got to prove what you did. We don't know what all the...
One draw, four draws.
Or no draws. You have to do it all yourself.
Right.
I mean, which means that only contractors will be involved in this, okay?
You can't borrow the money to do the rental work.
I doubt that.
We don't know anything.
But they'll do a takeout mortgage, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, we know nothing about this program, and nobody does, to my knowledge. I haven't talked to a single soul that knows anything about it. But we know that it'll happen some point in time. We know that it's maximum 4 units.
Yep.
And we know that even though the finance minister talked nothing about family members being in it, that the reality of life is you can put anybody in it.
Yeah.
That's how the working paper the next day came out and said any rental.
Anybody.
Any rentals.
Right.
Fine. Okay. So we probably can't comment too much on it because we don't even know how
we don't work. We don't know. We don't know a fucking thing.
But when you've got a $1.5 million starter home in Canada, then yeah. But because folks, it's only good for first-time homebuyers.
That's right.
That's not going to change. On December 15th, if you want to move up and you can't use it.
Right, that's right.
You own a home already, you can't use it. All right, but by the way, it won't be just new construction. It'll be anything. Okay, that's important.
For first-time buyers.
Yeah. Because there's been so many fucking programs in the last 6 months that you need a scorecard to keep track of the son of a bitch, okay? So,
yeah.
All right, so we're both a little skeptical about what's going to happen.
Yep.
We both, because, I actually had the thought that maybe 35-year AM would have made more sense
than the 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
again,
and by the way, though, when you say that, the X verse and the TikTok verse and the whole world of social media blows up on you and says, "Oh, you're fucking crazy, you fat fuck. There's so much more interest on 35 years. Why not just do 50? Do 100? Like, actually, fuck yourselves. I mean, the reality of life is, if you do want people to qualify for a mortgage amortization helps.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
the 1.5 million is ridiculous because
So two things. First of all, you can get an alternative mortgage in Canada today at a 35 or a 40.
rates too high.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Alternative mortgage, right? So we're assuming rates high, there's fees, right? But people out there have 30, 35, 40. In some bizarre universes, there are 50-year amortizations being offered.
That's accidental, but yeah.
Which is fucking bizarro.
We're not recommending 50, folks.
No. But to your point, like if you're making a rule just for people who have never been registered on title in Canada ever, and you're making a new rule to go up to 1.5, why wouldn't you just make the cap 1 or 1.25 and go, fuck it, we're gonna blow the doors off and go to 35-year?
Yeah,
for,
I would
for that demographic.
I would have been fine with 1 point. Just leave it at $1 million. Go to 35.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, folks, $1.5 million starter home doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Let's just, we've beaten the shit out of this, but we are correct.
What's the percentage of Canadians making the income to qualify for that?
About 1.3%.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it. Don't get me wrong. There can be co-signers. There can be,
Yeah, but that's not these. I know you know this, but these programs are not invented or passed to have a fucking cosigner.
Oh no, we've been doing co-signers on CMHC forever. You and I.
But I'm talking about these press conferences where they get all the fucking
that
up
shit,
on
the
stage.
bullshit. Yeah. They will never talk about. By the way, the only people who can ever do this, get the maximum, will need like at least 6 people on the thing. So yeah, no, they never say that. You're right. It's just window dressing and advertising.
Totally.
So one of the things that, particularly now that we're talking about this wild chance of another 50. On December 11th from the Bank of Canada. Again, we don't think so, but there definitely will be 25, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this not really signal that no matter what Tiff Macklin says in his press conference, that the reality of life is he's seen the economy's going to hell in a handbasket? I mean, is that a fair statement?
I think that's fair. I'm no genius on this topic, but let's just be honest. They were behind the curve when rates were when inflation was going up.
Mm-hmm.
They were way behind. I mean, we saw in the fall of 2021, those numbers were already going up, and we didn't get a rate increase until March of 2022.
Yeah. Because everybody said it was transitory. Inflation was transitory.
That's right. Yeah. It's just a blip on the map. So anyway, fast forward to today, they're way behind the curve. Way behind the curve.
But when we talk about the economy, we've got to talk about what do we see on the ground? Okay, so the things I see on the ground are that people are a little worried. Some people know people who are getting less hours at their work. We know people who have, getting few people, not a ton, but few people with layoffs. What do you notice in your community? Now, your community is basically a university town, right?
Yeah. So the biggest employer in Guelph, I believe, is still the University of Guelph, which is it's a university, but it is public sector wages. Yeah. And then the second biggest employer, I believe, in Guelph is a company called Linamar. Shout out Linda Has in France. Have me over for coffee. But they're diversified. They were strictly
it's a manufacturer.
It was strictly at one time, I believe, like auto sector, and they've started to diversify their holdings and kind of balance stuff out. But in Guelph, we do have customers or clients who commute, and as you and I were talking about, like some big employers that back in the 80s and 90s were the foundation of blue collar employment in Ontario are on indefinite layoff.
Yeah, in the automotive sector, 100%. Yeah.
Like these are jobs that I'm old enough to remember seeing the news, people camping out for weeks as they were opening these plants to try to get a job.
Sure.
That's troubling, right? Because Ontario has always been an automotive, blue collar engine in the economy. So yeah, I am seeing that. And I love to ask this when I go places in town. I love little shops. You go to the Home Depot, I'm in the plumbing aisle and I can see a plumber and I go, hey, how's business? Like I ask those questions.
Sure.
It's not fucking good.
Not fucking good. Yeah.
Not fucking good. Yeah. It's not good.
So this is not like we know, we know unemployment's up, but the one that a couple of points is the thing that I found a little shocking is that youth unemployment's through the roof.
Yep.
Like if you talk about
15 to 22-year-olds.
Really bad.
Yeah, real bad.
And also, that employment is really down. So there's two things. There's people laid off,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people who and there's companies hiring. So that number in Canada, we don't look at that number much in Canada. Like in the States, they watch it like crazy, who's hiring. It's a very important number in the US that they watch carefully. But in Canada, we don't seem to get that information too easily or too readily or too often. But the bits that I've picked up on are that actual hiring is way down. I read a little anecdotal post about somebody. Yeah, I am the last. There's me, my boss, and his wife are left at the headhunting company. Like all the other headhunters are gone. Like a headhunter, folks, is somebody. It's a recruiter. It's a company that if you need someone in a highly specific role, like I need a vice president of toy manufacturing, or I need a vice president of tire sales, that they would go out and find that person. Right. So it's almost always for executives and some others, but typically. And they used to have 16 employees, and now it's just down to them.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that's economy, or do you think that's just a shift in?
That's economy. That's 100% economy. Yeah. Because the other part of the post was like, 4 years ago, just COVID slowed everything down.
Sure.
But as soon as COVID broke, we were unbelievably busy.
Right.
And we were busy in 2019.
Yep.
So, 2020,
2019. Yeah.
So, if there's only 4 people left at the recruiting company.
What does that say?
That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And in the post, they also mentioned it. All of the folks who left, even though they're experts at hiring, haven't got jobs yet. So that we.
You know what's funny about that, Ron?
That's a commission job, by the way. So
in 2008, 2009, whenever I left the automation business in my past trade, it was exactly the same.
Yeah,
we were letting go of guys, and we would find out 3 months, 6 months later, they still don't have a job. These are skilled workers, tradesmen. Yeah. Okay, so maybe to bring it back to TIFF. I think it's 25 in December. You do too, but maybe they know some shit that we don't.
Oh, they always do.
Maybe they know like the tsunami is coming towards us. We got to get to high ground with this low rates.
Like the Bank of Canada gets real calls. The Bank of Canada gets real calls. Like there's somebody who's the chief risk officer at a small bank calls and says, "Hey, can I talk to the governor?" And look, Governor, I mean, we're located in this area, and we're a small bank in this area, and things have gone to shit. Okay,
we're fucked.
We're looking at the savings accounts,
deposits,
savings accounts are getting drained down. Credit card use is through the roof. I mean, I'm maybe being ultra specific, and there may be a few rules against it, but I do know that the Bank of Canada collects data from banks and from other large employers. I mean, that's just reality.
And the beauty about a platform like X is that we know people like Scott Theriault, like Hoyes Michael and Associates. Those guys publish their data quite publicly about insolvencies starting to skyrocket.
Small business receiverships.
Yeah.
Small business receiverships through the roof. Yes, that's correct.
The numbers are ticking up.
I got to apologize that we're just being Debbie Downer here. But our business is, and the point of the podcast is to talk about things that affect real estate and mortgages. And obviously, the purchase of real estate is radically affected. And we're watching one side of it, rates dropping.
Yep.
And we're watching another side of it, unemployment rising. So, or economic contraction. And you have to talk about both those things. Oh, interesting thing last week, the announcements about cutting back on immigration.
Yes.
So, we're not afraid to say in this program that, and we've said it many, many times, that although we, as Canadians, we love immigration. We've had the most successful immigration story in Canada, in the world, for 75 years.
Yeah.
That's reality.
Yep.
Okay. My grandparents were all from another country.
My parents were born in another country.
Yep. Look, it just is what it is, folks. I mean, and it's...
my mother's mother immigrated here with 6 children at the age of 53. She didn't speak a lick of English.
Whoa, shit.
Okay, you imagine when you were 53, Ron, moving to a completely different country?
I cannot.
So, to your point, you and I are very pro-immigration.
Always have been.
However, it's been bug nutty, batshit crazy.
Well, because it makes no sense if there's no houses to move into, and the international students, there's 16 people sleeping in futons in fucking Brampton. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
2,000 of them lined up around the block for Tim Hortons job.
Oh, and listen, We're going to bring in 3 million people when we've already got problems with primary care physicians, like big problems across Canada. Big, okay? Let's bring in another 3 million people. Some of them may get sick. So, there's just no sense to it. It's absolutely crazy. Housing crisis, bring in 3 million. Healthcare crisis, bring in 3 million. So the government, obviously, the government just knows the sinking government, the government that is...
I was going to say.
The government that's going down.
Not only is
count,
there the problem of a ton of immigration numbers, job, homes, blah, blah. Oh, what's this poll over here say?
The whole Canada hates me.
Yeah,
Okay?
the whole Canada hates me poll.
Yeah, the hates
Boss, please.
Right.
The poll just came in.
So where we're going to end up, and again, I repeat this thing, but it's really, really important to understand. When you cut back on permanent residence, you have to realize that if you're really cutting back on permanent residents, the permanent residents are already here. The majority of permanent residents come from temporary workers and international students. Mm-hmm. Wait, Ron, that's crazy. Why would students end up being permanent residents? It's a program, folks. It's been a program forever. Mm-hmm. And by the way, wouldn't you want people who've just graduated as scientists or going into pre-med or our top data analysts or top engineers in computer engineers? Wouldn't you really like those people to be
and fucking
Canadians,
hard working,
but very well educated?
Yes,
obviously completely adjusted to Canada. They spent 4 years here already in university. Yeah. Like, come on, wouldn't you want those folks? Yeah. Yes, I want them. I don't give a shit if you don't. I want them.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, so the idea here is if we cut back on permanent residents, which is what we're going to do. And they're here already. So I saw a number last Friday that said that in 2026, actual new arrivals, like new humans coming into the country, could drop to as low as 50,000.
50,000.
50, yeah. But no, there's still some international students and there's still a few temporary workers, but the actual people that come to Canada to become permanent residents will drop to 50,000 because even though it's a 385 cap, they're here already.
Yeah, right.
They're already here.
Right.
So we are going to see a lot of changes, and I just going to put a shout out to everybody who is renovating a bungalow in London, Ontario, to turn it into an 8-plex secretly for students. I think
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Okay, you may be in trouble. Okay, to everybody who has the kids sleeping in the basements on futons and sharing a hot plate, and the washroom is very busy in the morning. The single washroom.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
your business plan is about to change.
It's not necessarily you're going to be out of business next day, and some of those student housing has been there forever in university towns. Mm-hmm. But the dream of Midas level wealth is probably done. Okay, you're probably done by 2026.
Yep.
And will this fix everything? No, because it won't fix much. Because the truth is, in Ontario, you live in a town where there's new development.
Yeah.
Is there much new development? You see a lot of houses flying up?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So, and you probably have a couple condos being built there. Towers. You got a couple towers.
Yeah, there are.
Once they're finished, I don't think there's any more coming up. Right?
No, actually, funny story. I don't know if I should tell this story.
Tell it. So you started. You're fucked. You got to continue.
Let's just say it's not uncommon in Ontario right now for a condo developer to, maybe have 200 or 300 units built, ready to go, but not selling them on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Because if you have earmarked these units to sell at, $1,000 a square foot, I don't know, make the number up, right? But the market right now is going to give you $800 a square foot.
You got a problem.
You got a problem.
Yeah.
So it's actually cheaper for you to just continue paying the interest on your construction financing.
Bank's going to call your loan eventually, though.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Unless you're making your payments.
No, eventually they will call.
They will
because
call
there's
it.
Covenants that the loan expires once it's finished. Okay.
Maybe they're just waiting it out.
Unless you're like, if you are one of the 5 families
that's financing
who run construction, who run land banking in this province,
right?
You may have so much money, you're okay.
Right.
Okay, that's possible.
That might be the case. But let's just say they're not building anymore, and whatever they are building, again, it's million and a quarter. I was up in Alton. Do you know where Alton is? Millcroft,
I know. Yeah,
Millcroft Inn.
I've been to Millcroft. Yeah,
Alton.
Yeah.
There's some fucking houses being built there for like $1.5 million in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, what is happening?
Oh, we're out of business. We forgot to pay the power bill. The thing went away.
This is now being sponsored by Samsung.
Angry Mortgage is now being sponsored by Samsung.
It's the Samsung podcast.
Samsung podcast. but that's real, right? I mean, that is. So what we got to say up to the listeners is that even though there's going to be less people in Canada, or sorry to say less people, but there might be less, but there's going to be far lower immigration in the next couple of years.
Yep.
It doesn't solve the supply problem because we quit building in Ontario.
Yeah.
We're still building in Alberta, Quebec, Atlantic. I mean, there's building going on. But in Ontario and to a certain extent in British Columbia, they're not building anything anymore.
No.
It's that simple. Well, now we've come to our favorite part of the program.
What the actual fuck?
And boy, we got a wild one. And you know what? I may even have covered this 3 weeks ago, and I don't give a fuck. Okay?
Yeah.
I am so fucking mad about this. And I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to keep on it all the way to the next provincial election in Ontario.
Oh, no.
Doug Ford is now bribing us with our own money. But Doug Ford is going to give 16 million people in Ontario $200 each. You'll send it out in the new year. We're all going to get our checks. Okay. And I can just see it now. Doug Ford's talking to his key advisors, Corey Tenike and Nick Covalis, and I can just hear it now. Hey guys, what do you think we should do?
Oh my God!
What do you think we should do to get elected? We gotta call that election soon because once Trudeau's gone, there'll be nobody left to hate. So what are we gonna do? What do you think we should do? Well, Premier, we did that thing where we gave them back their licensing money a while back.
I remember that. Yeah.
Why don't we just give them $200?
The one where we still have to register the plate,
but we don't have to pay.
Okay.
So I just hear Corey now. Well, Premier, why don't we just give everybody $200? $200? What for? Because times are tough. Nick, this is Nick Covalis. Nick, what do you think? Should work. That should work, Premier. Okay, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to give everybody $200. Wait, what the heck would that cost anyway? That would be about $3.4 billion, Mr. Premier. Okay, that's not much. I'm not sure how strong Doug is on math, but because we wouldn't want to buy MRI machines or CAT scanners, or we wouldn't want to build like a hospital for cash or something. We don't want to do that.
Or a super fucking jail to lock up all these carjackers.
All the carjackers, okay? But no. We're just going to give everybody $200 to buy our votes with our own fucking money, okay? Yeah, Nick and Corey, you guys are the best. Yeah, the folks are going to love that. $200, and then 3 weeks later, you go to the election. We're going to call it like when the checks are going out. And then when they get the check in their hands, in the next couple of weeks, they'll be in the voting place. And I guess I get in again. Yep, I love it. So, Premier Ford, this is fuckery at the highest fucking level. It is fucking insane. It's just wrong on... I don't know any level that it's not wrong on, okay? Sure, there's going to be some people say, no, I would like $200. It's your money. He's giving you your money back, okay? Yeah. Well, hold on. I mean, nobody else gave me $200. It's your own money though. It's like you not understand. It's your money. It's you paid it in taxes. All the little taxes that we pay, all the big taxes that we pay. It's your money. I still want it. Okay, right? We can't help that guy. Okay, but Premier, please don't do this. It is complete fucking insanity. It is despicable.
On my drive down here today, I couldn't help but think, I wonder how quick my commute to Butler Mortgage would be once the tunnel under the 401 is built.
Well, folks, we have another... Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure having you. And folks, we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, Ron.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.